My name's Kirsten Cron Mills. I'm from North Mankato. Today, I would love to talk to you about rules for camouflage. This is my book that came out in June. It's about Evie and her pals and what it's like to live life with a busy brain. Evie is trying very hard to finish her high school career, but she is got lots of different obstacles to overcome. One of them is her sophomore biology teacher, Mrs. Dearborn, who is not interested in letting Evie write a report about Aretha, the octopus that she cares for at the Minnesota Zoo. And one of the obstacles is also figuring out what's up with her best friend, who is AWOL from her life. One of her other obstacles is figuring out what to do with Blue, her new love interest. Evie's life is quite the salad bowl of wackiness, and this book is great for teenagers who might also live that wacky, busy brain life, or adults who might also live that wacky, busy brain life, or people who just want to find out what it's like to live with a very busy, very wacky brain. So that's Rules for Camouflage. The second book I would like to feature, please forgive the printout, my Kindle will not show me the cover, is Where They Last Saw Her by Marcy Rendon. Marcy is a Twin Cities author. Marcy is an Ojibwe author. And Marcy does great work in the fact that she shows us lives that don't often get seen. In this particular case, it's Quill. Quill lives on the Red Pine Reservation, and she lives within a community of women who all take care of each other. In this particular book, Quill is looking for the woman attached to the scream that she heard in the woods. Marcy's really great at mystery and crime writing. She has the Cash Black Bear series. I teach the first book in the Cash Black Bear series, Murder on the Red River, and my students love it. So please take some time to pick up Where They Last Saw Her. Thanks to the Minnesota Association of Library Friends for the opportunity to give a couple book talks. Have a great holiday season.
Bodie wants you to know he's a dog. I'm Pete Hauptman, and I'm human. And I'm here to talk about a couple of books about dogs and humans, starting with I Am Rebel by Ross Montgomery. Rebel is a small dog, I guess you'd call him a mutt, but not to his face because Rebel understands human language and he might be offended. He can't talk except to other non-human animals. Rebel's best friend, a boy named Tom, goes off to war against an evil king in a fantasy version of medieval Britain, leaving Rebel behind. When Tom doesn't return, Rebel sets out to find him. Rebel might be small, but he's tough, he's determined, and nothing will stop him in his search for his best friend. I really enjoyed this book. Rebel's adventures, his courage, his determination completely captivated me, and I think readers of all ages will be enthralled by his story, which is told entirely from Rebel's point of view. It was books like I Am Rebel that turned me into an avid reader many long years ago. So I decided to write a dog book of my own. Answers to Dog is the story of a runaway border collie who befriends a boy, Evan. Part of the story is told from Evan's point of view, and part of it is from the dog's perspective. What makes Answers to Dog different from I Am Rebel is that the border collie in Answers to Dog thinks and acts like a real dog. He doesn't talk to people or other animals, but he's very smart, as border collies are. He understands only a few human words. The dog in Answers to Dog perceives the world the way a real dog like Bodie here sees it. Right, Bodie? Look at that nose. Look at that nose. He's a very cute dog. Bodie and other dogs live in a rich world of smells and sounds, vibrations, and images. Now, I learned a lot writing this book from a dog's point of view. Dog logic doesn't always make sense to us humans, but the weird things that dogs do make complete sense to the dog, because dogs live in a sort of parallel universe, a different sensory domain. Answers to Dog is a story about the wonderful and sometimes maddening things that happen when dog logic meets human logic. Oh, one other thing I should tell you about these two books: the dogs do not die. Thanks for watching.
Well, good morning, everyone, and ho ho ho. I'm going to tell you about two books. One is my new book that just came out, Terra Incognita, and it is a collection of ekphrastic poems, which means inspired by art, and the art is by my sister Dodie Logue. It's a beautiful book of her paintings and my poems, and it's available at the Textile Center and at Once Upon a Crime in Minneapolis. And the other book I think is a real winner is Rattlesnake Bluff. This is the fifth book in the series by Cary Griffith and his Sam Rivers series. Sam Rivers is a fish and wildlife special agent, and rattlesnakes have been found where they shouldn't be in the bluffs of the Mississippi. The question is, will Sam find the pit of snakes before they find him? It's a wonderful, exciting, interesting read, and I highly recommend it. And books are the best present for the holidays and the cold winter that's about to come. So Happy New Year, everyone.
Hi, my name's Cary Griffith, and I'm going to talk about some of the favorite books I read this year. First and foremost, James. Just won a National Book Award for good reason. A completely different retelling of one of my favorite books of all time, The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn. A tour de force of the imagination. Man, can this guy write. Richard Ford's Canada. Pick it up. If you love thrillers and you love John Sandford, I've read them all. His latest, Lethal Prey, well worth the time. I also read nonfiction, and I loved Wolf Island, sort of a memoir by David Meck about the wolf-moose controversy going on in Isle Royale. Really interesting. Last year at the Tucson Book Festival, I heard this guy speak. Almost all these books are about Africa and animals and appeared in National Geographic. If you like that sort of thing, really good. Christy Bel Camino. Wow, her latest thriller series, Vendetta. Pick it up. Ditto, Mindy Mejia. Man, does she do a great job. You know what I like best about this one? Her heroine is in Iowa. This series is based in Iowa. And of course, I love that, being from Iowa. And finally, William Kent Kruger's latest. Actually, I think he has a more recent one out, but this is the one I just read. Not only is he a great writer, he is a great human being. Pick up his book. We have great writers in Minnesota. Thanks for your time. I hope you enjoy it.
Hi, I'm Sarah C. Johns, and I offer for your consideration during this cozy reading season my book, The Sirens of Soleil City, which was published by Random House in July. And in this book, you will find the tale of 3 generations of a rather unconventional family, and also a group of spirited and straight-talking 70-something-year-old women, all gathered around a sparkling, sunny, gorgeous pool in South Florida. So the main character, Sherry, is a fixer, and she is been called to Florida to help her mother, who's been in and out of her life, keep her apartment building from going condo. And her stepmother, who is sick but not saying as much, she's trying to find a way to get her some treatment. And her daughter, who is pregnant and whose marriage is falling apart months before her due date. Everyone needs Sherry's help. So what does Sherry do? She decides to gather a team together from the apartment building for the 1999 South Florida Synchronized Swimming Competition. In the span of a month, these feisty women and this complicated family all come together and learn that in motherhood and in life, there is not good and bad. There is only trying to get it right. And the book that I recommend is The Mesmerist by Carolyn Woods. This was published in 2024. It takes place in 1890s Minneapolis, and it focuses on the Bethany House, home for unwed mothers, as well as one of Minneapolis's first serial killers. So these two stories are interwoven, and it really builds a great picture of 1890s Minneapolis. So those are my two recommendations, The Mesmerist and The Sirens of Soleil City.
Hello, Minnesota Association of Library Friends. I'm Kristen Johnson. I'm an author and illustrator. This year, I had a new book come out called Pickles and Paradise, 80 Funny Poems for Pickleballers. These are illustrated, and they're all just meant to be humorous. It's all about all the nuances about the game of pickleball. And there are illustrations on every page spread, and they talk about all the things that happen with pickleball, including the injuries and how people keep saying sorry and can't help it, how they just love the game so much that they'll squeegee off the courts to keep playing. So that's my book. The book that I want to recommend also is Molly's Tuxedo. This is a picture book that I ran across this year that is just fantastic. It's about this girl who is so excited because she's going to have her first picture day at school, but then her mom wants her to wear this frilly dress that she can't stand, and there's drama that ensues. Molly really wants to wear her brother's tuxedo that he got to wear for his picture. So that's her struggle throughout the book. And eventually she wins and does get to wear the tuxedo. So it's all about being your authentic self. It's a fantastic book. It's so great. I love it. And words are by Vicki Johnson, pictures by Jillian Reed. Molly's Tuxedo. The Wonky Donkey. I love this book. It's a board book. Such a great read aloud. Words by Craig Smith. Illustrations by Katz Cowley. And those are my recommendations. Thank you for letting me participate.
Hi, I'm Christopher Lehman, and I am the author of It Took Courage, Eliza Winston's Quest for Freedom. It's a biography of a woman who was enslaved by the family of President Andrew Jackson for over 25 years, and then by a couple of households after that. And throughout her enslavement, she relentlessly pursued her freedom, and that pursuit ultimately took her to a courthouse in the Twin Cities. And I find her story very inspirational, and I really enjoyed learning about her life. The book I'd like to recommend is a novel by Eleanor Shearer. It's called Rivers Sing Me Home, and it's about a woman who was freed from slavery in Barbados, and then she goes on a journey all throughout the Caribbean to try to reunite with her 5 sons who were taken from her during her enslavement. It's a very powerful read, and I hope that you enjoy reading it as much as I did. Thank you.
Hi, library friends. This is Gretchen Anthony. Thank you for having me on to talk about a couple of books. The first is my latest novel called Tired Ladies Take a Stand. The premise of the novel is a group of 4 friends at 2 different phases in their life. The first in their late 20s, when they are young and newly single and getting their careers out from under them and living their best lives in San Francisco. And they decide to have a year of yes, where they become determined to take advantage of everything that life has to throw at them and to do it together. Cut to their mid-40s, early 50s, where their philosophy of saying yes and taking charge of life has actually become toxic, and they've taken on far too much, and life has become unwieldy, and they decide to do the opposite of what they did in their 20s and have a year of no. And in the process of the book, they learn how difficult it can be to say no at times, and as with all my books, chaos ensues when they embark on their journeys. The book from another author that I want to talk about is a fellow Minnesota author and a very close friend of mine. He's been my writing partner for over 10 years, and that is the mystery novelist Joshua Moling. His first 2 books in the series are And There He Kept Her, and the second book is Where the Dead Sleep. Now, the reason that I am highlighting Josh's books is because the third book in the series comes out in February 2025, and the series has been wildly popular. It is about a deputy sheriff in small town Lake Country, Minnesota called Sandy Lake, and he is actually new to town, though he has a bit of a history there. And he's living as an outsider in this town, not just because he didn't grow up there, but also because he is a gay man making his way as a sheriff in a small town where, coincidentally, these people just keep showing up dead. It's been fantastically received, and I know for a fact that readers are chomping at the bit for his third novel, again, February 2025. So thank you for all that you do, and I really do personally appreciate the Friends of the Library and think that you do fantastic work. Thank you.
Hello, I'm JoJo Bell, author of Red Stain, The Life of Hilda Sims. My book tells the story of Hilda Sims, a pioneering actress who was born here in Minnesota. Hilda made history with her groundbreaking role in the 1944 play Anna LaCosta. She was one of the first Black women who was in a leading role on Broadway in a non-racially focused play. It was a moment that was both a personal triumph and a cultural milestone. Hilda's performance was powerful, portraying a strong, complex woman, and it helped elevate her career. But it did come at a cost because she lived during the McCarthy era. And her advocacy for social justice led to accusations of being a communist sympathizer, which stunted her career and kind of overshadowed her legacy. Hilda's story is also part of a broader history of Black Minnesotans whose narratives have been overlooked and underrepresented. Through her story, I hope to continue reclaiming some of these forgotten histories. Okay. Now I'd like to recommend Goddess of Anarchy by Jacqueline Jones, published in 2017. It's a little older, but this biography chronicles the life of Lucy Parsons, an anarchist, labor organizer, and fierce advocate for justice. Lucy was born into slavery and became one of the most radical voices of her time, fighting tirelessly for workers' rights, women's rights, and racial justice. Goddess of Anarchy is a compelling portrait of a woman who refused to be silenced, even in the face of unimaginable adversity. Much like Sims, Lucy Parsons defied the conventions of her time. And reading her story reminded me how important it is to tell untold stories, histories of women who have been erased from mainstream history. I highly recommend Goddess of Anarchy for anyone interested in social movements, radical history, and the powerful role that women have in shaping our world.
Hi, everyone. My name is Ann Ursu. I live in Minneapolis, where I was born and raised. Thank you so much to the Friends for asking me to do this today. I apologize for how dark this lighting is, but it is after 4 o'clock in Minnesota in winter. I had a novel come out this year for young readers. It is called Not Quite a Ghost. It is for late elementary to middle school age. It is about a Minneapolis girl named Violet who has a lot of changes happening in her life. She is starting 6th grade and moving into a new house with a blended family. And as all of this is happening, she gets the flu and she just doesn't get better. So she's forced to kind of spend a lot of time in her bedroom, which is the creepy attic in the new house, which she doesn't like at all, especially because there's this really gross, kind of spooky yellow wallpaper in the room. And the more time she spends in there, the more she wonders if she is not alone. There is a cat in this book who is modeled after my cat Hazel, who is standing right behind me. I also want to recommend another book for young readers. This is by Tracy Batiste. She's the author of the fantastic Jumbies trilogy about Caribbean mythology. And this book is sort of a superhero origin story about a boy who discovers he has the power to turn invisible. And so it's a little bit sci-fi and a lot of mystery, and it's just a really propulsive, engaging read, and I loved it so much, and I think your kids will really love it too. My very best to all of you, and thank you so much.